What's up, everybody? It's your boy, day 27. My bones ache. I've lost contact with the others. I don't know where they are. Food supplies are gone. I've resorted to eating strips of leather from my shoes. I'm approximately 2 days from having to consume the last of my water, and after that, I must admit that all hope is lost. This likely will be the last you hear from Lieutenant Archibald Cornflax, aka from Shameless Nerd. Today's video is about Nuance. If you would like to support me and support this channel, you can now become a member for only $3 or $5 per month and get access to exclusive perks like early access to future videos and entry to the Shameless Nerd Discord, where we will inevitably argue about the inevitable heat death of the universe and search fruitlessly for the meaning of life. However, maybe the real heat death was the friends we'll make along the way. Alright, let's get into it. If you are somehow either stable enough to handle it healthily or insane enough to consume it willfully, turning on your TV to watch the news will very quickly teach you that the world is of course actually on fire. Everyone is dying, we have only minutes to live, you and I and everyone we know are evil, self-serving monsters too dumb to even understand the ways in which we are complicit in our own demise, and we are all irrevocably, inevitably screwed. Except, the answer is actually very simple, and all we have to do is vote for insert the candidate whose super PAC lobbyist group has donated most to this news outlet here. We are all absolutely inundated with the notion that the problems we should all hyperfixate on and be terrified of are impossibly complex, but are somehow also all or nothing binary issues. And as if every single issue had its own on-off switch on the wall, the solutions to all of these issues are similarly simple, binary, and all or nothing. And this sort of logic applies to almost everything in our lives if we let it. If a guy cuts us off in traffic, in our brains, he is a domestic terrorist. He is an irredeemable, inherently reprehensible monster, and I hope he and all of his descendants die horrible deaths. In that moment, you feel this way. Please tell me I'm not the only one who feels this way. We simplify everything into binary opposition. Nutrition is one of the biggest perpetrators of this. Fats are bad. Carbs are bad. Cholesterol is bad. More broadly, sweets are bad. Starches are bad, etc. All of these things are bad, but for many, there are applications or scenarios in which they're not only actually not bad, but good. Or not even good for you, but necessary for survival. 60% of your brain is made of fat. If you consumed zero fat, it would literally cause cognitive impairment. We argue about things we arbitrarily divide into a binary lens. Nature versus nurture. Which one is how you develop? Normal versus abnormal. Neurotypical versus neurodivergent. Lack of success is automatically a failure. If you're not smart, you're dumb. If you ain't first, you're last. Actions are either morally right or morally wrong. Gender expression, sexuality, political ideology. Are you for or against the death penalty, abortion, LGBT rights, immigration, taxing the rich, corporate lobbying, climate change, vaccines? Everything is binary. Why? Well, because it's easier. It's easier to comprehend. It's less stressful. It's easier to find community and to signal to others that, hey, I'm like you. I'm part of your in-group. And our brains are biased toward binary thinking because that kept us alive for thousands of years. I fear that I'm quickly becoming the guy who's like, hey, you're doomed to be ruled by outdated genetic hardwiring because we're evolved to do this or that, and that's not what I'm saying at all. The purpose is just to be aware of our brain's predisposition so that we can fight it when we find ourselves in situations that only have existed for 200 years or less, and we have brains that have evolved over hundreds of thousands of years to exist in wildly different scenarios that no longer exist. We're not naturally equipped to understand society. That's insane. So we've got to be aware of these genetic biases because they're not serving us anymore, and we have the cognitive ability to override them when they do stop serving us. Because binary thinking is a survival tool. For thousands of years, it was very important that we saw things in black and white. You don't have time to think, well, you know, lions aren't actually killers per se. They're not driven by emotion or vindictiveness. They're just wired for survival in the same way that we are, and we really should be more thoughtful about our environment while you're being chased by one. It's in our genetic makeup to be weary of people that don't immediately look, sound, and act like us, because for thousands of years when someone wasn't part of our immediate in-group, that invariably meant that, hey, this person is going to be trying to kill me. We have to be aware of that so we can work against it. Because historically there wasn't any room for a gray area, evolutionarily speaking. You can't watch your sister die after eating some berry off a tree and then eat another one because, well, maybe they're not all poison, maybe some berries are actually good for us. We evolved and adapted to live in a binary world of life or death. We were either living, surviving, or we were dying dead. And there was no in-between. The world was very, very simple. Lions, tigers, other tribes, poison berries, bad, 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 no, no, no. Strength in numbers, following orders from the elder in our tribe, gorging yourself when you have the opportunity to finally eat well, these are good. We are wired for all sorts of things that don't apply anymore, and binary thinking is one of these. And not only are we already naturally predisposed to think in this oversimplified all or nothing sort of paradigm, but it's also perpetuated on purpose because binary thinking makes us easier to control. And I'm not talking about some hippie New World Order fluoride calcifies your third eye, bro thing. I'm talking about things that are demonstrably, unequivocally just true. It is much easier to control people that function in this way. For example, modern marketing, America's capitalist gift to the world, almost entirely hinges on a belief in an oversimplified binary world. For example, if you are a company selling a toothpaste, it is much easier to convince people they need to buy your toothpaste if you convince them, first of all, A, you need toothpaste, and if you don't use toothpaste, you'll inevitably lose all your teeth to plaque buildup and you'll be dead within the calendar year or whatever. And B, not only do you need toothpaste, but you need our toothpaste because this toothpaste is really good, which means all other toothpastes are really bad because this one has 3D charcoal activated tooth whitening super cleanser 5 billion. To sell toothpaste is to convince people you have to have our toothpaste. It's very simple. Not having this toothpaste is bad, having it is good. Well, guess what? You don't even need toothpaste at all. There is an abundance of reputable research proving without a doubt that you do not need toothpaste to have healthy teeth and that dry brushing is just as effective, if not even more effective, according to multiple studies. The important thing here is that I'm not saying you right now watching this video should stop using toothpaste, nor am I saying that I don't use toothpaste because I absolutely do. My point is that there's no toothpaste company whose commercial says, hey, you don't have to buy toothpaste. It's actually pretty complicated. Like, the truth is it might be good for you to have this toothpaste. Like makes your breath smell better for sure and could probably help fight like certain bacteria maybe. Like, it's not gonna hurt, but you don't need it, you know, try crest whitening, blah, 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 whatever. That ad will never exist because it doesn't sell toothpaste. And this is a pretty harmless example, but just take a second to extrapolate this to other examples. I'm not going to patronize y'all and go through a million examples of how this can be harmful because I think you get the point, which is that perpetuating binary thinking benefits every marketing campaign. And so, what else is being misrepresented to us? What medicines, what services, products, what subscriptions are being sold to us as solutions to a simple problem when the truth is either best case scenario, not actually that simple, or more often than that, that the situation being painted by these marketing campaigns is not even true at all. Like the toothpaste. And marketing is one thing, but politics is even worse. I don't know if y'all have watched any of the news lately, but it's not exactly a flower child kumbaya on MSNBC, and it's not a prayer circle on Fox News either. Things are not perfect right now, nor have they ever been, of course. I'm not saying they are, but if you watch the news or consume the news on TikTok even, or through YouTube creators or anywhere right now other than like watching C-SPAN broadcasts maybe, I don't know where you would get unbiased fact-forward news. Like, I genuinely don't think there is an outlet for that right now. If you consume the news, but especially the mainstream media outlets, you will see that politics is broken up into an array of binary, immensely oversimplified us versus them issues within a broader context of relentless identity politics, and you are either with us or you are against us. Pro-choice or pro-life, anti-abortion. Pro-immigration or pro-borders, pro-LGBT or anti-LGBT, universalized healthcare or privatized healthcare, helping the homeless or criminalizing homelessness, gun control or gun rights. You could go on and on and on. And not only are these issues falsely painted as black and white issues, but also anything you believe about the country or the world is painted as a black and white issue as well. Is the economy good or bad? Should we be worried about foreign attacks on US soil, or is it a non-issue entirely? Is racism getting worse or better? Again, you could go on, and not a single one of these issues is actually that simple. Is the economy good or bad? And not a single solution to any of these issues could ever be all or nothing. I'm sorry, I wish there was, but there is no taking guns entirely away from Americans right now. There's no ending houselessness. There's no conceivable worldwide regulatory body that's ever going to have the authority to ensure a hand-holding earth full of countries somehow all on board to stop climate change is adhering to whatever policies are put in place to do so. These issues are not that simple, and neither are the solutions. Nothing is. But it's very important to the powers that be that we sure believe they are. How do you maintain the stability of a two-party system that serves the wealthy elite in power in a representative republic when I like some of candidate A's ideas about issue A, but I like some of candidate B's ideas about issue A? I disagree with both about issue B, and I like candidate C's ideas about issue C. You can't. So not only are the issues themselves simplified, but the entire system is simplified. The right likes this and this and this. The left likes this and this. If you like any one of those options on the left, congratulations, you are now a card-carrying Democrat. You better walk to a poll and vote on that thing. And these aren't new ideas. This isn't groundbreaking information. What am I suggesting that we do? I don't care what you do, because it's not that simple. What I'm suggesting is that we try as hard as we can to look at the world around us and appreciate it in all of its nuance. The world isn't black and white. It's at least 50 shades of gray. Wait, wait. Stealing isn't bad. It's bad a lot of the time, but it's not bad. If you were dying from an allergic reaction and there was a store 10 feet away that sold EpiPens and you're writhing on the floor seconds from death, you sure wouldn't want me to say, nah bro, stealing's bad, and leave you to die. The value of trying to overcome this genetic wiring toward and this capitalist political push toward binary thinking, and instead trying to see the world for the impossibly complex, nuanced system that it is not that you're going to find the answer, necessarily, or that you're going to become enlightened and achieve nirvana and float away into the clouds. What it will help you do is become more empathic and hungry for knowledge. It will make you smarter, and it will make you a better person. Socrates is often credited with the famous quote, "I know that I know nothing." In other words, I am humble enough and observant enough to realize that the world around me is far too complex and sprawling for me to ever think I have almost anything figured out in its entirety. I am smart enough to realize that I could dedicate my life to a single subject and never know everything about it. There are more than 40,000 species of beetles. You could spend your whole life studying beetles and you wouldn't even know all of the beetles. A lot of people forget George Harrison, for example. Avoiding binary thinking places you in a wider context, and it makes you smarter. If I think problems, people, politics, the world is very simple, then I'm going to do a little surface level dive, make my mind up, and then stop. And that makes me easy to control. It makes me less likely to grow and change and take in new information, and it makes me boring, which might be the most egregious sin of them all. If I see the world for all its nuance, if I look at every issue in all of its complicated, convoluted glory, I'm going to do my research. I'm going to want to know everything I can, and I'm going to become hungry for a defensible position. Maybe some of this for me is driven by ego, I don't know, but I don't want to look stupid. I don't want to be in a conversation or in public discourse about a topic and confidently pipe up with a demonstrably wrong opinion about something. Frankly, that's like my nightmare. But I know that everything is complicated, and sometimes I don't have the time to become an expert on something, so you know what I do? I listen. I'll withhold my opinion on the subject because, first of all, guess what? Nobody needs my opinion anyway. I'll withhold my opinion until I know more. And existing in a nuanced world makes you a more likable, more humble, more interesting person who values other thoughts and opinions and defers to the experts. And when you do chime in on something, your thoughts hold some weight because eventually you'll build a reputation for being this way, and people around you do want to know what you think because you've become a credible source. And the even better result of overriding our brain's tendency toward binary thinking and appreciating nuance is that it makes you a better person. First of all, I do not believe I'm a bad person. I believe I am loving and well-intentioned and smart and a good friend, father, partner. But I also know that I'm perfectly capable of doing things that rub people the wrong way, making the wrong decision, acting impulsively, doing bad things. If I expect the benefit of the doubt from people around me, if I want to be judged for my intentions and not my mistakes, then how can I operate to the contrary? Because nuance is empathy. Humans are so incredibly convoluted. There are redeeming qualities in the worst people, and there are reprehensible aspects of saints. Everyone exists on a spectrum between these, and I'm not arguing you should write thank you letters to serial killers on death row. I'm just saying that the guy who cut you off in traffic might not be a terrorist. He might be listening to his favorite song, Russian Roulette by Porter Robinson. He might have lost focus for half a second because he's doing that little hand drumming thing on the dashboard to his favorite part of the song, and in his joy and jubilation, he didn't see you in his blind spot, and he feels so bad. I'm so sorry. Or maybe it's not even that innocent, but your reaction will still change if you operate assuming nuance, assuming things are complicated and not flattening your experiences with people to a binary. Maybe it's even deliberate. Maybe the Joe Rogan tech bro skipped you in line at the coffee shop and he's talking loudly on the phone in his AirPods about Tesla stock. Ugh. And it has nothing to do with why he did it, but maybe that guy is super lonely. Maybe he's fallen into the community he has and adopted these terrible behaviors and beliefs because he was weird in middle school. So he had no friends in high school when he really gained consciousness. And the first time he ever had a positive reaction with a peer was a thumbs up on an InfoWars forum. And he goes home every night and frantically scrambles to his computer to talk to his only friends. And all they want to talk about is how cool SpaceX is and how fluoride's turning the frogs gay. And he's just fallen in line. And of course, this is easy for me to say from the position of privilege that I'm in, that we should appreciate the complexities identities of everyone around us. And do I support what is probably this guy's belief system? Am I saying that we should just condone hateful ideologies that someone like this might have? Should we just accept when people have terrible ideas that actively harm massive groups of people in our country and the world because they didn't have a girlfriend in high school? Of course not. But this situation, the guy skipping me in the coffee loft, it has nothing to do with that. I'll never see this guy again. I'll never interact with him directly. I'll never know for sure if any of these things I'm assuming about him in this moment are even true. This has to do with me and how I feel and how I let things in the world affect me. And I can flatten this guy to a supervillain, and I can get mad and think, God, what a douche, what a piece of garbage, and ruminate on it and let it ruin my day. I can get in my car upon leaving and call my girlfriend and go, can you believe what just happened to me? This asshole tech bro skipped me in line. This is the problem with people. And start spreading hate and misery like we tend to do. Or in that moment, I can assume, I'm sure he's got a lot going on. Maybe this is the worst thing he's ever done. People are complicated. And get my coffee 90 seconds later than I would have and spend the remaining 14 hours of my day in a better mood. Being empathic, living in the gray area, it's self-serving. This isn't me saying we should all try to be Gandhi or something. This is me saying I feel better when I appreciate the nuance of the world around me. And I used to be so quick to see everything in black and white, to jump to conclusions that I was miserable, and I am so much better since I stopped. But honestly, man, I don't know. It's complicated. Thanks for watching. See y'all next time.